So I wanted to just have posterity, because I've told the story so many times. And it's an important story because it's really, why people get chosen to be here. And everyone has done something that resonates with this story. Everybody knows what they do, right? Like downstairs they sell shoes, and across the street they make Starbucks coffee. And here we do music licensing and celebrity talent ideation and procurement, and we also will get intellectual property, like projects we work on. Everybody knows what they do. Now, everybody knows pretty much how you do it. Coca-Cola has a formula for how they make their Coke, right? It's a secret formula. It's locked in a vault somewhere, stuck inside of a jar of mayonnaise. So there's a different way that people do it. We do it differently than Platinum Rye or Burns or something like that. But basically, it's the same results. You get the music in the commercial, you get the celebrity in the deal. The thing that we're going to talk about is why people do what they do. That's a unique thing. Now, I started this company after being fired 3 times. The last 3 jobs I had, I got fired from. I'd been an actor when I was younger, and I did pretty well for a while, and I had a couple screen tests, and I was like that close, and I was dating Julia Roberts, and it was this close to stardom. But that didn't happen. It wasn't supposed to happen. And then there were just too many no's. So I was like, all right, I really was a committed actor. If you can imagine, I really was like, when people would say, what are you going to do if acting doesn't work out? I was like, what are you going to do when your heart stops beating? I don't have a plan B. I'm committed. I'm an actor. And that's what I was like. Val and I are members of the Actor Studio, so we were like hardcore actors. And I did whatever it would take. And I've gone up to Martin Scorsese and said, Marty, you and I need to work together. And I did it to Ron Howard, and I did it to Robert Redford. I did it, I go where, like, you're going to go up there, and yes, I'm going up there. And, I was good at it, but, a lot of acting is stepping in shit. So at the end of it, I had to be a waiter, and I was the worst waiter in the world. I was a bitter, angry, sad, despairing waiter. And
absolutely
so I came over to your table, and I said, you're talking to someone? And I'm like, hey, I'm fucking here. That was what was in me. I would act like, I'm only going to stay here for another second. And if you gave me shit, I'm going to do something to your food. So, I was the worst waiter in the world. I was
How
really
about the
bitter.
red wine, white ones?
Yeah, one night,
At the National Arts Club.
There's a famous artist named Robert Rauschenberg. Have you heard of him?
Yeah.
He's a famous. He's like Pollard, Jackson Pollard, and Robert Pollock, and Robert Rauschenberg. They're in the same league. So I'm a waiter, and I got a black bow tie on,
National Arts Club.
cummerbund, and that's another story. And so, this Val's talking to me because we've been together for a really long time, and some guy comes up and he asks for a glass of wine. I give him a glass of white wine, and he comes back and says, I should like red wine. So I took the glass of white wine, and I just threw it on the ground in the bus pan, and it just exploded. People were like that.
And then you gave him another glass of wine.
Yeah, and then I just gave him another glass of wine without pausing. And then I said, that's $10. And the girl who's with him, the pretty little girl who was on his arm, said, do you know who that is? And I said, no, I don't know. Who is it? She goes, it's Robert Rauschenberg. I said, Robert, nice to meet you. It's $10. So and he was cool about it, actually. He was like, you got it, buddy. Here's your $10. He was a cool guy, but I was an angry guy. So I, had to go through a whole reinvention and figure out what I was going to do with the rest of my life. And the story goes, while waiting on tables, I met a guy who was on the board at a public television station. I asked him, can I go volunteer? He said yes, and I turned that into working on a documentary, and I was good at it, and then it was a second documentary, and now I'm describing myself as an associate producer. I finally get this other job at a company that does rights and permissions. It's still in business. It's called BZ Rights and Permissions. And if you wanted to use a quote by Hemingway, you could send them a fax. That's how she operates. And they would get the fax from the Hemingway estate and fax it back to you. And while I was there, I said, well, what if we get like some other estates in my competitive environment? And so they know that there's other people we can consider so that the fee's more aggressive. And she didn't like my ideas, and she didn't like all my energy, and she was like, my mousetrap is not broken. you've got too much, you're too much for me. So she was planning on firing me. I found out about it, and I got everybody from the company together, and I said, Barbara's gonna fire me. And I set up a video camera, and I filmed the whole thing. I filmed it, I said, Barbara's gonna fire me. And you know what? She could fire you too. Barbara, let's tell everyone why you're firing me, huh? And she was so off her game that she didn't know what to say, and everyone was like this, and they were all on my side, so the owner of the company couldn't fire me. And she basically gave me 2 or 3 more weeks of work and allowed me to get together everything I was going to need to build Creative License. So the point is, I came home and started Creative License, and it was pretty successful really quickly. And after about a year or 2, I was wondering, what am I doing that's successful, and how can I do more of it? Because obviously we should replicate whatever we're doing, we'll grow. So I thought, should I be more like Ryan Shinman at Platinum Rye? All right, so you know, I'm going to be, but he's younger and he's all Hollywood, and I'm not really like that, and he's cool, and you know, he's schmarmy, and people say they want to go like this after they meet him, and I'm not like that. I'm much more like, that guy's so excited. He's, you know, they're either going to have a positive or negative experience of that, but there's a more of I'm a little more transparent. And I thought of some of the other companies. I thought I'll try to do what they do. And I was in an organization, a business organization of people, of business owners. And I met a guy who's a big TED talker. His name is Simon Sinek. And he's got like 150 million views, and he's a why guy. Talk about the why. So someone introduced us, and they knew we'd be a good fit, we'd get on like wildfire. So we met, and he said, I want to work with you. And so he came over here, and I started telling him basically my life story in an afternoon. And he was taking tons of notes. And when he was done, he went over to the wall, and he went like, this is your life, Kevin. And it just looked like someone who was going to have a heart attack or something. I mean, there were all these highs, you know, lifetime membership at the Actors Studio. I had a bit of a gift, I'll say, for working with emotionally disturbed kids. And I had started a music therapy program in a Philadelphia Child Guidance Clinic. It's something I was just organically good at because I was probably a nutty kid myself. And there were a handful of things I'd been really good at. And then there were things that I just failed at. I was a door-to-door salesman, selling fire alarms and smoke detectors. I'd worked at the zoo, ergo, you know, snakes and stuff like that. I'd been fired from like almost every job at the Livingston Mall in Livingston, New Jersey. I just, you know, I was fired from way more things than I was successful at. So I'm like, you know, why this is working. And at the time, when we'd hire employees, I would try to teach them what to do. And I would teach them the way to do it. And then when they didn't do it the way I did, I said, what's the matter with them? What's the matter? This MOOC doesn't get it. I'm telling them how to do this thing, and they're not getting it. I explain all this to Simon. He's nodding his head. He's sort of like a businessman, but like a therapist too. There was a professional. He's totally professional, but he was also had a therapeutic quality. And he said, well, you're really describing people who are not a good fit for you. And he said, fit, that's going to be everything for you. And he goes, Kevin, we know what you do. We know how you do it. Why do you do it? Why do you do it? Why are you successful, very successful at all the things you do? So in this telling of my life story, there's you know, and I've been arrested a bunch of times. I've been in jail in a bunch of different states, but you know, I also worked with emotionally disturbed kids and was really good at it. So there were a lot of positive qualities. So it was like if my energy was in a certain way, it could be really positive, and I'd have a really positive experience whatever I was doing. If it wasn't, there's going to be trouble. So he was like, that's part of the ticket to what you're successful at and why Creative License is successful and how we can make more of Creative License. So as I told him my life story, there's this time when I was 14 years old, 13, 14, and we're painting houses for the summer, and my best friend said, we got to take off work because there's a movie on today, The Adventures of Robin Hood with Errol Flynn. I'd never heard of Errol Flynn or The Adventures of Robin Hood, so we go to watch this movie. And I watched this, and I am just transformed. It's like I'm having a Lady of Lords experience. There's Errol Flynn. My sword is yours, sire, now and always. And he's laughing. Ha 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 ha! I give way, little man. What, to a better man than myself? And I know every line from this whole movie. But there was something about Errol Flynn and his everything he did, he was successful at. He's up against, you know, the sheriff of Nottingham. He's gonna win. He's fighting for King Richard. He's a prisoner in the you know, the wars that are going on. He's gonna save him. Everything he encountered, he was successful at turning it around and winning at. And I fell in love with Errol Flynn that afternoon. And I just, you know, that's what made me want to be an actor. And when I was 17 or so, and I was traveling around the countries and ended up in Hollywood, climbed over the wall at Warner Brothers Studio and climbed down. And when the police came and got us, I said, "Well, I'm here because I want to fill out a application to become a movie star." And I described everything about Errol Flynn, and I said, "Wow!" And then they like showed me they didn't arrest me. They showed me the door and thanked me. But there was something about the relentlessness, "My sword is yours, sire," the you know, can-do-ness of Errol Flynn, and the you know, everything he did, he was always with a group. He's with a group of merry men. He's with a group of guys. They're all together, and I just so resonated with that I just thought that my life was going to be about that. So what Simon did is when he looked at all the things I'd been successful at, I'd worked with emotionally disturbed kids, and I had no training in it, but I could walk into a room of 15 kids that were emotionally disturbed, and I could just quell them. I could just quietly quell them. And then I came up with these ideas, and there was no money, and you know, it was a Republican time of life, so there was no money for things like music therapy and art and stuff like that. And I created a music therapy program, and I went back to college, and I started studying this, and I just had a gift for it. And I thought, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to work with this, you know, these kids. And I did that for a while, and you know, I did that until that was something I was really great at. And then there were other things, like I left that work to go sign on to a fishing boat and sail off the coast of Nova Scotia into the Georgia banks where that movie took place, the
Perfect Storm.
Perfect Storm. And I did that because there was a bit of me that was like an adventurer. So that I was awful at fishing. And then there was selling encyclopedias, and then which I wasn't so good at either. And then I became an actor, and I was good at that. I was good and focused, and whatever work I had to do, I'd stay up all night to work on a scene for the Actors Studio. Have you ever seen, it's a movie called Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. And in it, he has to stand up and filibuster for like 5 days or something. So I stayed up all night with these really tight shoes on so I could be in pain when I did the scene at the Actors Studio. And they applauded at the Actors Studio. And I'm not saying that to brag, but you're not allowed to applaud at the Actors Studio. So you know, they said, you've got something there. So that was another place where up, down, up, down, up, I'm up a creative license. What is it about creative license that makes it successful, that I'm doing, that I can do more of? Well, let me just step out and grab that piece of paper off the wall. Can you hop up for a second, Val?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Literally right.
Can we pause it?
No.
Intermission.
So while you know, Val and I are in LA, and I'm having some success. I'm working on soap operas and doing commercials and stuff like that. But you know, I'm not landing the big screen test, and thank God I didn't, because if I'd have been successful as an actor, I'd never have had this, I'd never have had that, I would never have had the success. I'd have been in some crazy room with drugs and alcohol and you know, some victim of success. You know, I would never have been able to handle that. But thank God that didn't happen, and I had to go through this whole process where I had to reinvent myself and go down into the ashes like a phoenix and, you know, find myself. So when we looked at all the things I've been successful at, there were similarities in all of them. And so what we came up with is, why does creative license exist? And this is hanging up, and I see this every day. why does creative license exist? Just like in the Adventures of Robin Hood, which became the theme for the success at Creative License, and something that made total sense to my mojo, was to be someone else's champion in their quest to get whatever they want, but especially if it's impossible. And you all know that I've told you stories about things we've done at Creative License that were impossible to do. And we did it.
I just want to interrupt a minute because you didn't really cover like the thing when I met Kevin. Kevin could get you in anything. I couldn't get in an agent's office, he got me in the office. Kevin could get you tickets to anything. If you couldn't figure out how to do it, Kevin, call Kevin. And this is when we were just actors. So that was a really important quality of yours, which then led to him coming up with that. It wasn't just the Robin Hood thing.
No, it wasn't.
It was
that.
how you were for anybody to be like, I'll get you into that agent's office.
But
We'll
it was
get
also
into
like
that
I
thing."
could get us with the guys who were going to steal the credit cards that they were going to fly down to the Virgin Islands. They're going to rent a boat with the stolen credit cards, do a giant drug deal somewhere in the
You
Virgin
know what
Islands,
you're saying.
and you know, we're going to party on the high seat. So it was a power, but it directed how it was. We never got caught on the credit card scam.
You're on.
Wherever we went, it was only if they did this. If we saw them doing an electronic thing, we left. So it's right. Could I get anything done? That was true. But it was like before I got sober, which I got sober like 18 years ago. That also really helped focus my mojo into like things that were constructive and positive, and that were on behalf of my best self. So what we came up with in terms of what creative license is it exists to be someone's champion in their quest to get whatever they want, especially if it's impossible. And you've known when we get on the phone and someone says, oh, I got something to do, it's really going to be, I don't know if we can get it done, that's the time that's most engaging to me. That's the time that's most exciting. Tom would be like, oh, I don't know if we can do this, and that's why I'm like, of course we can do it. And in my mind, in my heart, my sword is yours, sire, now and always. And that scene always pops up, and I feel it. I can actually physically feel a change in my chemistry. Now, we were hiring people. We'd hire talented people. Some would succeed, some wouldn't. What's up with that? And what we found out was, how do I do the creative license part? Well, it was important that I have a target. As I said, if my mojo is focused, I can do a lot of things. Like when we were doing this Planters commercial and we wanted Seth MacFarlane to do it, and his agent and his manager and all said no. And I took one of my people and we went up to Carnegie Hall and we freaking kicked the door in to go backstage to go up to Seth MacFarlane and say, here's the script for Planters. This is great creative. You'll love this. And he was like, all right, I'll do it. And as the agent, the manager, and 20th Century Fox, everyone was like, you went to him, you found him, and you got him to, and you got the folks from, The Simpsons to agree to, and they all agreed to do it, except then Fox, to make a long story short, Fox issued a contract, but then said, you'll have to sign the contract without any changes, and a bunch of things happened that didn't proceed. But we got the yes. We got the yes, and that became like an essential thing to me. So I'd hire people. Like I hired this guy named Lance. He was a lovely guy. He was an artist. He was a sweet guy. But Lance was a loner. Lance worked best by himself. And if you know anything about me, when I'm on the phone with anybody, I'm like, I want 5 people over here, because I operate best in a pack. I've got to have a pack. So everyone I hire, we're always sussing out to see, are they a pack person? Do they work better in a team than on their own? If they work on, it helped me stop like bitching people out for like not being successful. They either were a good fit and played well in a pack, or they weren't. And if they weren't, God bless you. Go do what you need to do. And I give you my best, but I need pack people. So I need a target. So I've got to have a target or my energy becomes unfocused. And you've seen me, when I'm really focused and when I'm kind of like stuck on like office management, Office 365, sprint stuff. Any of that stuff is just a major distraction to the thing I'm good at. And that's finding someone who needs who knows what they want and needs something to get done that's impossible, like some Super Bowl spot. And we have a whole bunch of Super Bowl spots that we can tell you stories about that. We got, like the Sheryl Crow story is like my story. If you saw the real raw Cheryl Crow story, it's about Cheryl said no to DDB. Then we got hired. And we looked at Cheryl and we said, well, Cheryl's really a brand too. Cheryl's got like altruistic partners. She's got an A&R person. She's making clothes. She's got a manufacturing partner. She's got an agent. She's got a manager. She's got all these people whose job it is to move Cheryl's needle from here to here. What if we go to each one of them and we build a consensus of yes? The agency went to the agent. They went to the label. That's the right place to go, right? The agent and the label, if you want Sheryl Crow and her music. But they had said no. Well, we'll go. And that's a story we tell about going here, 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 here. And everywhere we went to the tour manager. They're going to be on tour in 6 months. How would you like Sheryl Crow's song, her music to be in the airways right now? Isn't that going to help sell tickets? That's what the tour manager said. He thought it was a great idea. And everywhere we went, the same thing happened. She'd had a health issue, something to do with breast cancer that turned out to be only a scare. But the PR person said, gosh, if she's the strong brand ambassador for a big campaign for Subaru, that's going to be a great, appealing asset for her to be out in front and, really looking healthy and strong. I like that for her. I thought it was a great idea. Everyone thought it was a great idea. We said, it's yours to lose. We got Faith Hill, we got Alanis Morissette, we got all these other people now. It's going to be a creative and an economic decision. You see the business model turning into the thing that's about me. Work as a pack. Forging best relationships. Going to people, going to our friends in the entertainment space and trying to present a picture where it's a win-win, where everybody wins. That's the story we tell Chevrolet, and we tell, Kodak and Geico and LensCrafters and all the brands we work for. No stone left unturned. I just explain that to you. That's essential. And then shine light. We got to shine light on our clients when they hire us and do the right thing. So it was a really cool opportunity. Simon came in and he worked with the whole company after that, and he helped us focus on these things. Since I founded the company, even accidentally, the company's why is the same as my why. Some people come in and they inherit a company and they become the CEO. So the question that I'm breeding in your heads right now is, I wonder what my why is, okay? Because you all have a unique, distinctive why too. Mine is, that relentless, whatever it takes, we're going to get it done. And when someone just scratches me on the surface around that issue, it oozes out. That's what I'm so excited about you. That's what I see in you. You are going to fit in my pack. I know it. And so as a result, we're going to forge success. I just know it. So are you. That's why we were just like, Val and I were like, it's a no-brainer. We've got to make those changes. I see you, and everything I push you towards is towards more of that. Because you are blossomed and grown so much, right? Mm-hmm. So this is important to know, because what it is the ethos. It's a bone marrow of the company. Platinum Rye's got a why. Their why, I think, is they like to make money. And that's fine. They like making money. God bless them. They make a lot of money. They're the biggest of all the companies in this space doing it. I don't know what Davy Brown, Burns is their lawyer guys, but they're good guys. They're all good husbands and wives and mostly good people. No need to talk trash about them. We compete with them, but they're mostly good people. But for us, it's about this. And that's the thing that becomes what we try to instill in the organization. And what does Robin Hood do in his effort to free the king, in his effort to win Maid Marian? All the things he does, he puts himself in the way of risk. And you see, we're just working on the phone with that attorney who wanted to split down the middle. What did Tom do when he said split down the middle?
Fine.
He went like this.
Yeah.
Oh no. And that's why you're so key. Because while Tom's smart and valuable and key to the company, and he's a really talented guy and a monster workhorse, he says it himself, he's risk averse. And in this business, in this industry, you need to have some thirst for risk if you're going to succeed, right? You need to be willing to dodge the bullet, pull the sword out and have the sword fight. So that's what when I'm saying, find your voice. I need to hear you. It's your song that you're going to sing. And, you know, you're going to sing it the way you sing it, but that sort of engagement in the pack. That's why there's 6 people around every call for a client, so they know, oh, I got a whole team of people working for me. What's the difference with creative license? I told you we went out to lunch with Pfizer, and I was talking, and one of the first things I said was something about, oh, the deal we got for Rascal Flatts was blah, blah, blah. And she goes, you guys all promised the lowest fees. It's your passion. There's something about the way you roll that's different than the other companies. That's why we're giving you all our work. And that's not just me, it's me.
And Lucille, when you first met her, was a whole other cup of tea, and you stayed with that until you got to that place.
Just hung with her until the no became a yes. Colin, my brother, just walked the halls until the no became a yes. So that's really the story of the why. My job.
You didn't put your painting story in there. Is that okay?
Well, you guys know about the painting story.
If you can do a quick version of it.
A quick version of it.
Great
While I
story.
was being a waiter, and I actually had to wait on Julia Roberts, and I just dated her, and now I'm waiting on her. So that was so painful, and I was in this hotel, the Bellage Hotel, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to see her. And then the guy, one of the people on the panel who voted me and Val in as a lifetime member of the Actors Studio, he comes in.
Mark Rydell.
Mark Rydell, scribble this note. I go up to him and I'm like, hi Mark, there's a note in my hand. Please get me the fuck out of here. And he's with his wife. He's like, Kevin, me. And so I give him a note, it's got my name and number on it, and he's like fucking like freaked out a little bit. While I was in this hotel and I'm waiting, I'm having to be I got these frozen butter pats on a plate, and it's the worst. Just awful for me. I mean, it could have been grateful, but I wasn't. So there was a hallway to the kitchen, and in the hallway were 4 paintings, and one of the paintings was this autumnal painting that there's a visual of on the other side of the wall. I'll show you when we're done. And this painting just talked to me. I used to put my hand on it, and it just would chill me out, and I even, because I'm a bit of an outlaw, should see it's how secured on the wall, but it wasn't secured on the wall. So, and I love this painting, and I go on about my life. 20 years go by. I start to dream about the painting. This is about 7 or 8 years ago. I'm dreaming about the painting all the time. And finally I'm like, all right, Muse, I will explore. And I call I find the hotel in LA, and I call them, and I find out they're closing. They're closing, and they're selling all the paintings that are hanging on the wall. And I'm on the phone like 3 days before the sale. This is a true story. So I tell the woman who's doing the thing about my life, and this painting talked to me. It's got this great October feeling where you want to turn your collar up to the cold, and you'd be leaving this village to go home to where there's a little fire and some food or some stew over a little fire pit at home at the edge of a village that you've been working, slaving at, hammering some fiery thing all day. Now you're going home. That's what the painting said to me. And I tell her the story. She's like, oh, come on out here. I'll give you the whole room. I love your story. I want to introduce you to my daughter. So I go out there. I look through 2,000 paintings. My painting's not there. I look through them all again. They're not there. I look. My painting's not there. I leave. I come home. I say, Muse, I tried. All right? I tried, Muse. A year goes by. I start dreaming about the painting again. I start dreaming. I'm like, oh, fuck. So I do some more research, and I find the guy who built the hotel, and I do research about him. His name is Severin Ashkenazi, and I find him in Warsaw, Poland, and I find him, and I reach out to him. I get him on the phone. I tell him the whole story about the painting. He's like, oh, this is a very interesting story you're telling me. I love your story. I think I remember your painting, because I describe it. It's got a sunset and a road, and then there's a moon with a tree sort of wrapped around it. And it's at the edge of a village, and it's a man, he's walking home, and he goes, I remember your painting, it's more narrow and taller, though, and it's got there's no moon in it. And I'm like, there's a moon in my painting. There's a moon in my painting. You're just wrong. I'm just telling you, there's a moon in my painting. So he says, you're never going to find the painting. Why? Because when I was a hotelier, I would trade everything for everything. If I wanted someone to build floors for my hotel, I trade the floor work for paintings. So artists come, they stay, they take paintings, they put paintings. It was very fluid, and there's no record of it. You'll never find the painting. I'm like, of course I'll find the painting. And it's just what clicks into me. I just work, I'm built that way. So I started looking and researching. I start meeting his sons. He's got these sons, and with crazy stories. And I meet the one son who's built his own hotel in West Hollywood, and he's this handsome sort of Russian prince guy, very, very sort of regal, almost like a vampire. And I didn't know if he was gay or not, but he was like so handsome, and he loved my stories. Like, I love your stories so much. Come with me to the roof. And we go to the roof, and I had drawn a picture of the painting. And I showed him, and he goes, I remember this painting because it hung in my grandmother's house when I was young. And he goes, you'll never find the painting. And so I say, well, and I get more information and more information. I start talking to him, I visit him. Every time I'm in West Hollywood on production, I do that. I show him another drawing of it, and he says, I think I know it. I think I know your painting is Kevin. Come with me. And we go to his hotel, and he goes, I think it's in that room, but someone's staying there, so we can't go in that room. But I'll take you to the 4th floor, because the man painted the same scene, winter, spring, summer, fall. So you can see a winter or spring version of the painting. I'm like, well, I don't know if I want to do that, because I want to see my kid, not a kid who is like my kid. Now, I've obviously changed this painting in 20 years, right? Because, I keep thinking of it.
Memory, right?
I drew it. It's Val, do you remember this about it? And I hired friends and artists, and I'd say, draw this. And so over by my desk, you see all these drawings, and they're all I put it on a milk carton, and we put it on the internet. Can we find my painting? I would close my eyes, and I would look for the author's name, the painter's name. All this. Look for the painter's name. I could never see his name, but I was left with a feeling of Victorian. So I would research, Victorian stuff. So on the day that he's going to take me to where the painting is, I go there, and I'm with a guy who works here, and we stop, and I get a light out of the. We go to Home Depot to buy a light, because in the hotel there was always a light that came off the wall and would shine down on it. So I want to give this painting of mine the best chance on earth it's got of being my painting. So we stop and get that. We go in the room, dark, hold the light over the painting. We throw the switch on, and I'll show you what I got. Come here. Let me show you. Come on, everyone. You see right here? There's no moon in the painting, right? But there's a light. The light is shining on the glass in the painting, and it made it look like a moon. So there was a moon in my painting. And down here, there's a little thing. You know what it says on that? It says Victorian.
Oh, wow.
So there's like, there was all this yes to it. So he and I are talking now, negotiating for him to sell me the painting. In the meantime, because this painting was so reflective, look over there. You'll see different drawings of the way I described the painting. And ultimately, that was the first drawing that I had that I sent to the guy in Warsaw. Ultimately, I had a friend draw it as a sort of a ribbon kind of thing on a body, because I'm now having the painting transferred into a tattoo. And I'm going to get the tattoo of this painting, because this painting, reflects all that Y stuff on my body, just like that. So my first session's in January, in the later part of January. So come on back in, and this is the end of this. Just wanted you to see the picture. So that painting, it's reflective of all this, of this relentless search to find something. And so, to me, that became the mojo and the heart of creative license. I don't give a shit what they do at Platinum Rye.
And that was all before you did your Y, all the painting stuff.
That was just organic. I don't care what they're doing at Platinum Rye. I'm not competing with them. I'm just trying to live up to this thing. Be true to my own why. Shine light on you. I think you're special. You've got something. I tell you this, and I see it in you, and I'm watching it manifest and grow. That's that email I sent you over the weekend. So that's the stuff that's why this company has been successful, because in some way, shape, or form, even Jeff, who's obviously not as animated as I am, will work like that. And when he doesn't, I'll say, I need that. They need to know that there's a backup, that there's 3 people to support that idea. Or Tom will speak my language. He'll do it in a different way. He'll sing the song with his own voice, but he knows the lyrics. And he, despite working at a bunch of different companies in his life, when he came here and I told him all this, he's like, I'm in. I will drink the Kool-Aid. And he has been a large part of our success. So that's the story of the why, and it's kind of like why this company exists. And Val, I can't do it without Val. So Val gives me a lot of the mojo I need in order to do this. So I think there's a lot of story to absorb.
No, it's great. It's great.
But anyway, thank you so much for listening, and thanks for being a part of this, because this is a real mission. It's not just clearing a song. It's not just getting a football celebrity. It's in creating an environment where Molly Peck's like, oh no, I only want Kevin on this. I may change the words and made it a little more dramatic, but she just said that on the phone 10 days ago. Oh no, I only want Kevin doing this. And who's Kevin? When you're talking to Jane, you're talking to Kevin. When you're talking to Alec, you're talking to Kevin. When you're talking to Heather, you're talking to Kevin. It's all that. And we'll do that out there. We'll say, it doesn't matter if you're talking to Jeff, you're talking to Kevin. And that works fine as long as everyone continues to buy into the mojo and drink the Kool-Aid.
Anybody have any questions or anything?
Very motivating. She could do a moth story.
Yeah.